Here we go.
They're like, where are y'all?
Said he was coming back. Is this like that time with my dad?
He went to get cigarettes.
I'll be back, son.
He just never did.
Oh, that's sad.
Also,
Yeah, but it's
also
what made
real
me
life.
who I am today.
I spit beer all over this table.
So for the loyal folks that are
before we
here,
start.
yeah, before we start, we should just tell them what happened, right? Are you guys in here? Say something in the chat.
Blink twice.
Yeah, blink twice. Blink twice if you're listening. So we're super excited. You know, I just got this internet, fiber internet. Super pumped about it. It's faster. Our speeds are out of control. It seemed like our live stream was just going to be perfect. Had a guest on, Jeff Siegel, in our first go round, in our first effort. And I think everything was just overloading. Yeah, we're going to talk about the new additions, Kyle Stanley, I promise. But right now, I have more important fish to fry. I need to tell you guys about this.
This is what happened, okay?
Yeah, so, and then everything went to shit. Jason's computer is just overloading or something, and it's just...
Buffers.
It's just affecting everything. And so we're just... Yeah, so you know what? We're saying F it, and we're back here, and we're going to restart this thing.
Hey, I forgot how to words.
You did forget how to read a little, but that wasn't the problem. It was mostly mine.
Yeah, but it wasn't you. It was just like, you know, hey,
I'll take the blame.
There's a lot of figuring out that comes with this. You know, we're doing this all ourselves, and we're not exactly professionals.
Done this
so this is... Kyle Stanley says, sorry. It's okay, Kyle Stanley. It's okay.
We were kidding, man. It's okay.
No, you wait your turn, Kyle.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Thanks, Kyle.
We're starting over, by the way.
Yeah.
Except without Jeff Siegel this time. We'll get him on next week, hopefully.
Yeah. Once I figure out how this shit works.
Great guy.
He's a great guy. Better than Mello, probably. But maybe not. I don't know either of them, really.
Yes, maybe no.
Let's start it.
You're listening to Thunderheads, a podcast for Thunder fans by Thunder fans.
All right, welcome to Thunderheads. If you're tuning into YouTube Live, we're psyched to have you, and hopefully it's working. You know, that's the big one. I'm Brandon Soul, joined by the Thunder Time himself. It is Mr. Justin Wright.
I turned my camera on. I cut my fingers on the way.
That sounds like some Papa Roach shit, man. I don't know what it is, and that's what it sounds like.
If it was Papa Roach, I would have nailed it.
That's true.
But I don't know what it is.
It's Spoon.
Oh my God!
Double spoon?
2 spoons in one day.
Well, yeah, but no one's going to hear the first one, so the first one was a great song.
It's still sitting on our YouTube channel.
It could. Yeah. That's fair. But
it will get deleted, though.
I turned my camera on by Spoon.
All right.
There it is.
This man is the Dark and Stormy Jason Lewis.
Yes, sir.
Today, Dakari Johnson was traded twice in 3 days. If you're tuning into our last broadcast, you've already heard this part. You got that soundboard ready?
I do.
Thunder bring in Abdul Nader.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Abdul Nader.
Who the fuck is that?
Yeah. No, a lot of people are right there with you, Jason. Amadou Diallo is unsurprisingly signed with the Thunder. Presti is evidently stockpiling these young, inconsistent, unproven wings. Another fun thing that we'll talk about is Mitch McGarry is a bowler now. And we're going to get to all this. But you guys want to start with Schroder because that was kind of the theme that we're starting here. And obviously we talked a lot about Schroder last week. But let's get into some things that we haven't gotten into. Schroder, I think we talked about last week how he's an instant 6-man candidate. We talked to Jeff earlier, and we're going to talk to him again next week so we can actually have an interview to put out there for people. Mm-hmm. And he had some good stuff for him. And just to give you guys a little preview, not to spoil any of it, but I don't think he's super high on Schroder. And when you guys hear this guy talk about Schroder and him fitting in with the Thunder, you're probably not going to be all that thrilled. I mean, that's accurate, right?
I kind of got that, but I think maybe it's more so that in a starting role, he wasn't thrilled about him. Like, I think whenever, like, it sounded like to me that he kind of digressed whenever he got more responsibility.
Right.
And when he's coming to the Thunder, that responsibility is kind of going back. Because, like, his defensive liabilities that have been talked about recently, if he doesn't have all that responsibility, I think maybe he can put that effort back into defense a little, hopefully. And hopefully he'll have that drive to being with PG and Russ.
That's the hope, because one thing that he said that I thought stuck out, and once again, spoiler alert, because you're probably going to hear a little bit of it again next week, but when he first came to the Hawks organization, he was a guy that picked up point guards full court.
Right.
I mean, that a guy coming off your bench that is willing to do that, Now that's huge because he was doing that same thing for the Hawks. He was coming off their bench, right?
Yep.
Behind Jeff Teague. So he was willing to put in that work. And one thing, and I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast last week, but how high his usage is. Maybe we did talk about it.
Yeah, I think it
I always
was around
get
like
confused
30%.
if
Yeah,
the
they all
things
run
we-
together
Yeah,
at some
if
point.
it was on the podcast, off the podcast, whatever. Yeah, so he has really high usage. It was like 30.4% last year. It's been over 27 for 4 of the 5 years that he's played in the league. So those days that Jeff's talked about where Schroder was picking up guys full court, well, he also had usage that was 27%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was still putting in the effort then. Hopefully that doesn't change. Hopefully he hasn't built all these bad habits, and hopefully he can play with Russell Westbrook, and hopefully he can stay on the court. And I mean, how many minutes are you expecting from this guy? Last week you said...
I said 25 to 30 last week. He averaged 31 last year, which, yeah, thinking about it now, maybe it is a little high, but I think somewhere in the minute, maybe a 27, 28, if I was going to actually temper it. But I'm not going to say he's going to get less than 25 just because you want him out there. He's super athletic. And Billy Donovan wants to play fast. We talked about the fast break last week. Well, Dennis Schroeder's a great guy to get up and run the floor.
It's the key is how can he play with Russ? I think that's the biggest key here. And I'm probably gonna stick on 25. That'd be my number that I'd put him at. But it's like, is he gonna take minutes from Dre? If he takes minutes from Dre, is that the worst thing in the world? It might not be, because maybe you get Dre more rest, and when his defense is really needed, he'll be rested for when he's out there. I don't know. And obviously, you're not going to want Dre in there at the ends of games when teams start fouling and stuff.
Right. I mean, you at least have an option for that now.
And you can slide these. You can play small, too. There's going to be a lot of moments you can play small. There's options, and I think that's the big thing.
Yeah, and I think Billy has a lot to tinker with now.
Yeah.
Is basically kind of the takeaway.
Hopefully, he's just he comes in motivated and ready to just... I don't know. Ready to just prove everyone wrong. All these, the Hawks fans that have probably turned on him at this point, ready to prove them wrong and say, it was all about winning all along. And last year, I was the best player on one of the worst teams in the entire league. It wasn't fun.
Right, and you could tell, he could tell the direction was just going away from what he had kind of grown with there for a bit, and that has to suck.
But what if it's a bad fit? What if it doesn't work? What if this summer that feels like such a successful summer, and no matter what, it's a successful summer because Paul George re-signed for 4 years with a player option, by the way. So no matter what, it is a successful summer. What happens then? What if this season goes and the Thunder win 48 games again?
So you're telling me we're going to watch
losing,
basically last year's season
right. So
again?
What if it's similar to last season? Thunder win 48 games or so. They lose in the first round again. What then? I know this is hard. This is not fun to talk about, but no one's talking about this.
Yeah.
We have to talk about this because it's a possibility.
Yeah, because, everyone's hyped up because, they basically filled the holes that we wanted them to fill.
Right.
And now we're not handcuffed to Melo.
Sure.
So, to me, I'm excited, and
you should be.
You'd think it would work out.
By the way, you should be excited.
Absolutely. But what if it doesn't work? I don't know. I think they're still going to stick with the Russ and PG core. I think that's going to stay there. They're not going to try to trade one of those guys.
No.
That'd be insane.
That's the benefit here, right?
Yeah.
Because even if you do have another season like that, hey, that's
Let's
what this is for.
figure it out again.
That's what this is for. You are committed to Russ.
You fire Billy Donovan's ass, first of all.
You're committed to Russ. You're committed to Paul George, and you actually might not be all that wrong if it's the same
that's
season.
Probably what happens.
So you're committed to Russ. You're committed to Paul George. You're committed to Jeremy Grant. You're committed to Steven Adams. You're committed to Andre Robertson. And there's one I'm missing here. Oh, Dennis Schroder. Those are 6 guys that you're committed to that you don't have to be good next. Obviously you have to be good next year. You don't have to have an otherworldly season next year. You don't have to get to the Western Conference Finals next year.
The pressure that we felt last year, and that's what we talked about a little bit. That's the nicest thing about PG signing that long-term deal is that pressure that was we have to get to the Western Conference Finals somehow, and then they totally didn't.
Right.
But it felt like that all season. And now we don't have that. Maybe it would be nice if they could get out of the first round. That'd be sweet.
Sure.
But
this is a nice foundation to build on, though.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you can settle. You can relax. It's not a one-year deal. You have these guys going forward. And maybe Schroeder has a great... Say you do have the same type of year you had last year, but Schroeder plays well. Maybe he's tradable. Maybe he's a guy that you're like, all right, well, let's trade him to a team that needs a point guard. Let's say New York Knicks. Say Frank Ntilikina never pans out. And
He's been killing in that Drew League, though.
Has he?
Yeah, he's tearing it up.
Ntilikina's playing in the Drew League?
Yeah.
Did they? I didn't know that like foreigners would play in that. I thought that was like an American.
Yeah, he was pretty cool. Well, I only watched like a couple highlights.
I guess
he didn't
that
miss.
was pretty. I shouldn't just not allow other
wow.
nationalities to play in the leagues.
No, just Americans. That's all.
Wait.
Build a wall around the court.
Yeah.
You want them foreigners?
Oh, this is the Drew League. Stands for. I got nothing. I would have been good if I'd had
I
something.
would have been
though.
impressed.
So kind of to spin off your tradable thing, with Dennis Schroder, and I kind of alluded to it a little bit last week, but not in the same words, is what you can do by coming to Oklahoma City, where all the guys have been high character guys. It's a high character organization. Everyone plays the right way. Like the locker room is a very certain dynamic. That's great for Schroder in the sense that you're going somewhere that's stable. You kind of rebuild yourself after you've kind of gotten trashed in the media over the last several months because you've got this bad, what was perceived as a really bad attitude on the court. You weren't playing hard enough. You weren't doing the right things to win. Granted, it was a bad team. But this kind of allows him to rebuild his image a little bit. And if he does want to go somewhere, the Thunder get great trade value out of him if he needs to be shipped off, or you find a way to ship him off and get something else in return. Or, he kind of feels good about himself, plays a lot better. It's almost like being in a contract year where a guy goes into it knowing like he's got to kind of prove himself.
Right.
But instead of being an on-the-court kind of thing, it's more of an off-the-court and being a locker room guy and building into a system and an organization and a culture that we have in Oklahoma City. I think Oklahoma City is the right place for that to happen for any player. Look at Deion Waiters. Mm-hmm. Deion Waiters was that kind of guy.
Kind of seems like that's what Nerlens
I
Noel
was
is trying
about
to do.
to say that
Exactly.
same thing. It seems like Nerlens and Schroder are kind of doing this similar thing where it's like, well, I can go there, rebuild my reputation, and not like Schroder had the choice to do it, but
Right.
Also another thing about
it seems like he kind of did a little bit. If
well,
Billy
yeah, he
Donovan
could have
and them
said,
talk,
"I'm not going to do that."
yeah,
And then they were like,
it
well,
could have done the
pass.
mellow. No, I'm not doing that.
Out of
Who,
the
me?
question.
Yeah. Oh, bench? No, I know how to play basketball. I'm not coming off the bench.
I can't
Well,
believe he did
I
it
know how to
again.
play basketball.
There is a bench in basketball.
Yeah, you got to sit on it sometimes, right? Sat on a lot during them playoffs, bro.
No, that's a good point. I mean, it's just going to be really interesting with Schroeder and how it goes. That's the most interesting storyline, I think, to the season is how that works. Because not only is it the most interesting storyline, but it's probably the biggest factor in the Thunder's success as far as how well that works out. Is that fair to say?
I think so.
Because,
I'm pretty sure PG and Russ work well together. We've seen that whenever Melo wasn't on the court,
Right.
and in spurts. And they worked some decently with him on the court, but I think it'll be nice to have that space back. But
and no PG handling the ball with that second unit,
that's going to be nice,
which is huge. I mean,
which maybe he will a little.
He
but
will a little bit.
It's gonna. I think a big thing for them, and this is why I think that Schroeder will actually be on the court with Russ and PG, is because I think they want three people to be able to handle the ball at one time. Like I think they
Right.
want to be able to move it
I mean,
like that.
it's kind of like a throwback to
the Harden thing.
Yeah, it's a Harden Durant being on
Not
the team.
as
Obviously, it's not as good of a trio, but
Damn
Westbrook
it.
is better than he was then.
Yeah.
Paul George isn't as good as Kevin Durant, and Schroeder's not as good as Harden.
He's
But-
a better person,
Is he?
probably.
I don't know. He's got this battery charge hanging.
Oh,
over
I
him.
was talking about PG.
Oh,
I don't know anything about Schroeder's personality.
well, I don't either.
PG's better.
He's
than KD.
German.
Oh, you were saying PG's a better person than KD.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think that's
We'll get
that's
into
a
it.
ubiquitous agreement.
Yeah, we'll get into that one. Is Schroeder, two questions in one. Is Schroeder the best backup point guard the Thunder have ever had? And obviously you remember Reggie Jackson, when he was at his peak, was probably the best backup point guard the Thunder have ever had. I don't think we can consider Harden a backup point guard. He handled the ball a lot, but for the sake of this, let's not consider Harden that backup point guard.
Okay.
And part two of this question, is Schroeder the best backup point guard in the league? So part one first.
Now I'm trying to think of. I really like Terry Rozier,
Is he better than Rozier?
and he's a third stringer.
Paul George said today that he's
Maybe.
the best backup point guard in the league at the USA camp. So I thought it was an interesting question, interesting answer.
Schroeder heard that and was like, "I'm not a backup point guard, bro."
Well, it's funny because they asked PG, and PG said, Well, he's coming off the bench. And like PG said that, it was like, well, oh shit, damn, PG laying down the
This is
law.
how it's going to be.
I hate to take that. I hate to take this side of it, but I don't think Dennis Schroder is the best point guard that Oklahoma State's backup point guard that Oklahoma State's ever had. I still think that's Reggie Jackson. Part of that is going back to that Memphis game and the playoffs. Part of that
that's
was just
instantly what comes out.
He was just he was let's see, because he was shooting. I mean that 2013-14 season, the last full season that he had in Oklahoma City, he was shooting 34% from three. That's a lot better than what Schroder had. Like he seemed like a better shooter, a little bit better of a scorer, and maybe that's just I haven't really. And he was so young still, so unpolished. Where Schroder's been in the year for been in the league for 5 years now?
Yeah, I think 5 years.
I just feel like Reggie's ceiling was
by the
so
way,
much higher than
5 years, and Schroder's 24.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's easy
amazing.
to forget. Mm-hmm. He was a 23, 24-year-old last season leading a team, trying to lead a team.
Well, and that's like, to me, I'm definitely not saying he's the best backup point guard in the league because we don't know.
I think
what
you
he's
can
gonna
make
be
a
like.
case that he is.
He's probably up there.
Yeah, definitely top 3.
Yeah. But to me, I think this experience that he's had being the leader of a team, having that criticism on him, and now coming and like that's all going to be on Russ, as it always is. But now coming into this situation, and maybe he can flourish a little bit better, knowing like, hey, now I'm going to win if I do this stuff right.
Right.
Like, if he really buys into it and does that correctly, I think he could very well be the best.
Does he have a choice to whether or not he gets to buy in?
I mean, if he doesn't, he's going to get traded. And a big thing, a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, if he could have been traded, then why didn't the Hawks trade him? And I like they were trying to, but I think what they were trying to get back was probably what they got from us in a first-round pick.
Right.
And a lot of people probably weren't willing to give that up. Mm-hmm. Maybe we don't get something like that back, but we really got our value in him in expelling Melo. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, the Thunder would be able to get back exactly what they gave up to get him, I would assume, and that would be a bad contract.
Yeah.
It would be.
We are good at getting those.
It would be the willingness to take on a bad contract, and we'll take Schroeder off your hands. That would be what.
But it's a slightly better bad contract than what we had.
Yeah. How could it get worse?
As long as it comes off the bench. I'm fine with
so for Schroeder and winning, I mean that 14-15 Hawks team, his second year in the league, they were 60-22.
Yep. So he's experienced winning before.
They went to the conference finals. They lost to LeBron
swept.
because
Believe
it's
they
LeBron.
got swept.
Yeah.
Huh.
But then after that, they're 48-34. He's a starter. They're 43-39. They're 24-58.
Well, and also the team is degrading around him.
Well, yeah, it's not his.
horribly.
It's not his fault. What I'm saying is like he's watching the earth just like the whole city burn down around him.
Right. Slowly.
Metaphorically.
The offense is getting worse. The defense is getting both the offense and defense got significantly worse from that 60-win team. Obviously, that makes sense on paper. Like you should be worse, but nothing stayed the same.
Right.
Dennis Schroder just kind of stood there and watched guys like Al Horford, Paul Millsap walk out the door. Mm-hmm. You had Dwight Howard on the team, which if you've listened to us long enough, watched us long enough, you know how we feel about Dwight Howard.
I love him.
That is destructive. And if you're 24 and you're just like, hey, I can make something of my career. I've got a lot to add to a team, and you just watch everything falling apart around you. Why would you want to be a part of that?
Yeah.
Go somewhere you can win.
It's a tough thing to really kind of develop an opinion on, right? Because you can't blame the guy for wanting to win. He's a competitor. Everyone wants to win, and every single player in the league grows up winning. All they know is winning. They're the best players on their team.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be there.
Growing up, and they're winners. That's how they got to the point they are. And then you get into the league and you're on a bad team, you start losing.
And all of a sudden, you're a fucking loser.
But is it fair to just say, well, I want to win, trade me? I mean, that's pretty much what we've come to in the NBA today, though, right? That's what.
Well, do you consider Kawhi Leonard a winner?
Yeah.
Because in that case, yeah.
Hell yeah, he's a winner. But
Finals MVP.
Yeah, a Finals MVP, top 5 player that most people believe when he's healthy. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's a winner. Do you think that he wanted to leave San Antonio because he didn't like the direction of where they're going? Now we're shifting into a new thing, but this is kind of the trend of the NBA, right? So LeBron goes to Miami. KD goes to Golden State, which doesn't seem to fall in the same category to me because it's not like he wasn't winning. That's the weird thing there. But, you have these other guys that are just wanting to flock to the winning teams. And by the way, I thought of another backup point guard that maybe you could slot over him, Isaiah Thomas, depending on
Could be.
how he plays this next season.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting how that goes. If Schroder, I'm going to get off of that whole winning thing and the trend of the NBA. Back to Schroder. If he buys in and if he plays defensively, that dog mentality like Jeff talked about that you guys didn't get to hear, if he brings that, that's huge, man.
Oh, yeah.
That is, I can't even, if he can stay on the court because he can stay afloat defensively. Oh my gosh. And not only just stay afloat defensively, but be effective.
Right. Well, and it seems like it's kind of a Westbrook type of defense where if he wants to, he's incredible. So we just got to get him to want to. And if you're playing around a team that's identity is fast-paced offense and super strong defense, you probably got to do that. So I would imagine that's going to be a big point for him is, hey, if you want to play, like we know Felton's going to play dog defense.
Right. That's how Felton's going to try to just earn his minutes too.
Yeah.
I mean, Felton at this point, when you see Schroder coming in, I don't, it's hard to say. It's hard to read Felton's mind in this. Is he going to be bummed out? Like, man, clearly that takes away from his playing time. Mm-hmm. Or is he like, yes, this makes our team better? Would it surprise you if Raymond Felton's the guy that's like, all right, that makes our team better? It wouldn't really surprise me.
It seems like the kind of guy that he is, that he puts everything into perspective, especially being 34 now. I think he sees it as a team perspective. Like, this is going to be good. If I'm good enough, if I work hard enough in practice, if I prove myself out on the floor, I'm going to see minutes. I'm not worried about my minutes because I'm the only one that I affect my own playing time.
Right. He's that veteran.
We just need to be better. We just need to be better as a team.
He's this team's veteran, right? Mm-hmm. He's that vet that you can rely on to come in, and he's not going to just...
He's the oldest player.
Yeah, he's the oldest player on the team. You can rely on... You can throw him out there and say, he's not going to hurt you. Or at least you hope he's not going to hurt you. But he's going to be a guy, you better believe it, he's competitive. He's going to come out there and...
It's going to make Schroder work.
In practice, he's going to pick up Schroder full court, I guarantee you, because he's going to be like, no, I'm going to make you work. I'm going to make you earn that playing time. You're not just going to get it, man.
Is he going to feed him a cheeseburger before they start practicing and make him throw up maybe?
Ooh, now you're taking the side that Raymond Felton, he is more about the playing time.
I like
He's got a little Carmelo Anthony in him.
Who, me?
Yeah.
So, I mean, Schroeder's going from, like, as a first-team point guard defensively, playing guys like John Wall three or four times this season, Kyrie, Kyle Lowry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, those guys, he's playing, went from playing those guys to he's playing second string point guards,
right?
Defensively,
yeah.
And you can you get a rookie because there are going to be a lot of rookies that I think are second string, or hell, like when Oklahoma City plays Atlanta, and he's up against Trae Young, you think he's going to want to ball hawk the hell out of Trae Young, like just to prove it to Atlanta? It's going to be so much easier for him defensively, just not going up against those first string guys,
and not only defensively but offensively, obviously,
absolutely,
right. because. Think about it. He almost put up 20 points a game, and obviously he shot 28% from three or whatever, but he still almost put up 20 points a game as the best offensive player on a team when clearly the scouting report for each game for the opponent coming in was, hey, focus on Schroder.
That fella right there, get him.
And so he's still getting those numbers.
So now the focus is completely not on him.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it will be with the bench, but
if he's on the court with PG and Russ and Adams, hey, he might have some...
And that's
some light.
It's fair to have concerns about the spacing, but if these guys attack off the dribble, if they move without the ball, it should diminish kind of the effects that, or the bad things that could come with the lack of spacing.
So this is like a question I kind of have. Like, we've been talking for years about how OKC needs to move the ball more and play fast while doing that. Is that something that Russ can do?
Move the ball and play fast?
I know he can play fast, but can he work in a system where the ball's moving, and play off the ball a little?
I think to a degree.
We've seen him do it in little chunks before.
I think that's what it's about. It's just to a degree. I mean, you're not going to get him to change completely who he is, and I don't want him to. And I think that people that point to this and say, "Oh, this is a great move from the Thunder. Bring in Schroder, you can get Russ off the ball more." That's not what it's about. It's not about getting Russ off the ball more. I guarantee you, when Schroder and Russ play together, Russ is going to be on the ball the majority of the time. Mm-hmm. It's going to be about, hey, Schroder, can you play off the ball? But the fact is, or kind of the bonus is you have Schroder as a backup plan. You can say, oh, the first action in the offense didn't work. Let me get it to this guy.
Right.
He can run that second action, and I can move off the ball. And
he
that's
can actually get himself a bucket.
He can get himself a bucket, but that's where Russ has to kind of, to what you're talking about, that's where Russ has to figure out in his game how to work off of the ball and putting himself in a position where he lets Schroder make a play for him.
Exactly. And that's really what I was getting at is like the thing last year where, okay, Russ tried something, it didn't work. I'm going to hand it off to PG or Melo, and then I'm going to stand there. Like, I don't think that can work.
Right.
Like, if, say, he gets the ball to Schroder, like you're saying, maybe move off a screen or something after that. And then we have something. You know what I mean? Like, that's dangerous.
Right. Just imagine a play where Russ brings the ball up the court, right? Crosses half court.
Close my eyes.
Close your eyes. Imagine this.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk.
Right. No, I am now. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. Adams comes up to the high post. Enter the ball to Adams in the high post just for a pivot and to make plays off of. Russ runs around to, say he runs to the corner. Schroder comes around, grabs the ball on a dribble handoff. Russ backdoor cuts. Bounce pass to Russ. PG's in the corner. The help defense comes to block Russ at the rim. PG's in the corner, passes to PG for 3. I mean, there's moving parts there that can work, right? Russ has to be able to buy in as well. So it's not all about Schroder buy-in. It's Russ too.
A true motion offense is the only way that you're going to be able to take a lack of true spacing and make it work in an offensive set.
It's a good point.
Can Billy Donovan do that? That's a question that we don't know.
And the crazy thing is, this is who Billy Donovan is. This is who he's been in college.
He's wanted to do this.
So is it fair? Like, if it doesn't work, is that Russ? I mean, that's what it has to be, right? That's the common denominator. If you can never kind of put in a motion offense, you're never. Oh, it is Russ, okay? It is Russ. You're never going to be able to
super Spursy motion.
No, it's never going to be that. So yes, it is Russ, but if you can never do it to where you can sustain it, in the fourth quarter, obviously, especially in playoff games, it becomes a lot more one-on-one, and that's where the Thunder actually have some advantage there. But you also have to have the ability to not go into that, not revert into that so early.
A system that you could rely on.
That's where it's on Russ. That's where it's on Russ, where, man, you got to figure it out. You got to be able to do this a little bit. And maybe we're fools, but I think that a lot of us have faith in him being able to do that.
All right. I think he can.
Well, let's talk about these newest additions here. Let's start with the Abdul Nader one. Thunder traded Rodney Purvis, who they got with the Dakari Johnson trade. They traded Rodney Purvis to the Celtics for Abdul Nader, who was
the fuck is that guy?
who was going to be waived by the Celtics, but he's under a 3-year, all years non-guaranteed contract. So it's interesting because Rodney Purvis was under the same exact salary for this coming year, also non-guaranteed, but it was just the 1 year.
Right.
Nader, 3 years. Totally controllable contract. I think he's 24 years old. Played some legit minutes for the Celtics last year. Didn't shoot the ball. I think he was in the 30s somewhere. Shot 35% from 3. If you go watch highlights on him, he never misses a shot.
Those highlights, man.
Oh, my God. He's so good.
People are good at them.
But it is interesting. It's an interesting move because not only that, then right after that, but I think, first of all, before I get ahead of myself, I think everyone thought they were going to cut Purvis to save the money.
Yep.
Then they flip Purvis for Nader. And you don't do that for no reason, right? You do that
I think so.
because
you
like the guy. And you're like, I think this guy can stick. But the Thunder are at 15 roster spots right now of guaranteed contracts. Except his isn't guaranteed. But once his guarantees, it'll be 15 roster spots, which is the max you can go, not counting two-way players. So they have to like this guy. And so you add him to the mix of TLC, Ferguson, Abrinas, and then you sign Amadou Diallo for 3-year minimum. The third year is non-guaranteed. They use a little bit of the MLE on him just so they could get him for that third year. They wanted to get him under contract for a long time because obviously they like him too. What are the Thunder doing here? They're stockpiling these wings. They have all of these guards and small forwards. Is this
super young?
Is it a philosophy, a change of philosophical direction here? Because they've been a team that's gone against the grain a little bit, where they go big. We're about rebounding. When you talk about the Cantor days, that's kind of who they've been. They want They want to out-tough you. Now they seem to be even, and you can credit Carmelo Anthony to this a little bit. Last year, takes the most threes of his entire career, makes the most threes of his entire career. Yep. The team by far takes the most threes they've ever taken since they've been in Oklahoma City. They're shifting towards this new brand of basketball, and they don't have a reliable wing, right? Yeah. So are they just stockpiling these guys to figure out which ones they like?
I think the idea here is throw them all in there and see which one sticks. Like, it's just throwing them up against the wall and seeing what works out. I like to
it's very
analogies and smash them together.
It's very law of large numbers. Someone has to work out, right? Also, it's funny you mentioned like they made the most threes. They also missed the most threes.
Well,
that's kind of happens.
Comes with the territory.
Kind of the thing. Like it's almost, like going against the grain. It's almost Presti's new going against the grain. Instead of going big, like, okay, going big isn't going to work. Now we're going to go small like everyone else is. We're going to put a bunch of wings out there like everyone else is. Except instead of being able to shoot and score, we're just going to tie you up defensively.
And be super athletic. Mm-hmm. Which he loves it.
Yeah.
The athletes. Love the athletes.
He does, but Nader's not necessarily an athlete, but Diallo is definitely an athlete.
Monster athlete.
But I think that he's trying to shift towards that. Hey, I'd like just the, not that this will necessarily happen, but he'd like the opportunity of throwing a lineup of Russ, let's say Abrinas, Ferguson, Diallo, and Grant out there. Whatever. You have four small guys out there, but there are opportunities in this league today where you can do that.
Yeah, you can actually use that lineup and not get destroyed. So maybe, depending on how good these guys turn out.
So on Nader, real quick, because I'm sure there are a lot of people that just have no idea who this guy is. Jason's one of them. So I'm trying to like really dig back into my memories.
He's Egyptian, right?
He is Egyptian.
Yes.
Nailed it.
So
an Egyptian.
Trying to dig back in my memories.
They play that when he travels.
He was at Iowa State. He was on the George Niang team, like really good Iowa State team. The same time Buddy Hield
wasn't he also teammates with Burton?
Yeah, he. I'd have to go back and look.
I think he was.
Is Burton that old?
Yes.
Then yeah, Burton would have been one of the guards on those teams then.
Because he's been hanging out in Korea for a bit.
Let's find this out. You can keep going.
So,
with your point.
anyways, look, Nader was a guy. He wasn't that impactful. He transferred to Iowa State his junior year. That was 14, or sat out. 14-15 was his junior year. Wasn't that impactful. Senior year, he ends up shooting 37%. Okay, good. Yeah, those were really good teams under now NBA coach Fred Hoiberg should have never gone to the NBA. But anyways,
he looks so
Look,
lost.
Nader
He's just constantly looking around, I feel like.
Nader was a guy that was he was really like finding his rhythm, finding his shot, like starting to find his spots within an offense, knock down shots, get comfortable in spots on the floor. Didn't really work out that well. He played 48 games in Boston, 3-point shot 35%. Mm-hmm. That's kind of that rookie thing where
it's not bad though.
Yeah, no, I mean, hell, that's serviceable compared to a lot of the guys.
And I think he's 23 or
right
24.
He is 24.
24. So the Thunder have Abrinas, who I believe is 24, 25. Mm-hmm. I think he's 25. TLC, who's 23 or 24. Mm-hmm. Nader, who's 24. You said. Mm-hmm. But then you have Ferguson and you have Diallo, who are both like 20 and 20 or whatever they are, 21 and 20 or something.
Very young.
Or is Diallo like 22 maybe? We should look this up.
I think
this is
Diallo
great
was
podcast.
We should really know all this stuff before.
This is great podcast. He is 19.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. It's
because I remember that because Ferguson said he was the youngest guy on the summer league, but he wasn't.
Yeah, what an idiot.
Liar.
What a idiot.
He's an idiot.
Oh, I can't wait till we get to that. So how do we imagine this rotation? Kind of let's say this is the team, right? Let's say this is the team enter this season. All these wings, and I think a lot of people.
Singler, probably.
Yeah, you're right. So probably not going to be Kyle Singler, which is going to be interesting to see if they utilize that 15th roster spot. I would imagine that they don't.
Yeah,
because they seem like a team
go into it without doing so, just so they have the flexibility.
Yep, buyout market. See what you can do at the buyout, unless you plan on making a trade at the deadline where you ship out 2 and only take back 1 or something like that. But how do you rank the guy? Let's rank these newbies. Actually, not even just the newbies. Let's rank these young wings. So Alex Abrinas, Terrence Ferguson, Amadou Diallo, TLC, and Abdul Nader. We got to rank them, and I know that there's a couple that you haven't really seen play.
One's Egyptian, though, so
But-
that gives him some points.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Very good at building things, I heard.
Wow, that seems racist. No, so this is based on what you expect to see this coming year.
Right.
Okay.
So, rank them in terms of minutes they'll get?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say Abrinas and Ferguson probably will get first nod, but
Who's first?
I'm going to say Abrinas. I think they still really
with
like
you.
him, and I think if they don't see anything out of him, like if they don't get what they're wanting, I think they're going to move him. Like, I think this is kind of his chance to.
I
hey,
wonder
you're
not
gonna
to cut off this kind of thing that we're doing, but I wonder if they would do that because he's restricted free agent, and there's not many of those.
Yeah.
And they're like,
That's valuable.
It's very valuable. We have
True.
control. Anyways,
Um,
Abrinas 1. Are we all there?
Yeah, I think so. It's especially just because Abrinas is not to say like your most proven 3-point shooter because that's Paul George, but out of those guys, I mean,
He's your most specialized shooter.
I think you can rely on him the most. So I think he has to get some run just because he's outside shooting that you don't have a whole lot of.
And could you say that the Thunder are stockpiling these young wings maybe because they like Abrinas? Would that be fair kind of to twist it a little bit? Because at first, I'm looking at this in a way, well, maybe Abrinas is inconsistent, so they want to stack it up to see what they can get. They want to compile all these guys to have options, or maybe they like Abrinas, and they're saying, well, let's get all these other guys and let's see what we can work behind him and give him an option because these guys aren't going to threaten Abrinas right
Maybe.
now. And so we have options behind him and see what we can work with. Maybe it's more so an indictment on Terrence Ferguson.
I would agree.
It could be.
I don't know about an indictment on Terrence Ferguson, but definitely the kid's like 20 years old. You don't know what you're ever going to get out of him because in 2 years things
Right.
could completely change. So I think it's more of a I think you're onto something with saying they really like Abrinas, and these guys they play it's a different game from what Abrinas had. Abrinas is a catch and shoot 3-point specialist,
fair.
like with a little bit of playmaking ability.
It's a good point.
These guys are just hyper athletic guys that want to cut. Maybe they'll develop a shot, maybe not, and they play good defense.
Right, and then that way you can kind of use them as that utility, like where you just throw them in and say, okay, well, is this guy going to develop at all?
Yeah.
And if he does,
Are we
he's the
gonna
guy.
have moments where they throw in a wing and you're like, wait, which one is that?
Oh yeah.
You're just like squinting.
Yeah.
Wait, is that
I-
Ferguson?
I
Wait.
definitely assume
that
we're going to
TLC?
see some of that.
All right, so Abrinas 1. Number 2, who you guys got?
Tough. I want to say Ferguson just because he's been with the team and kind of knows how things work.
That's probably
and
the
I don't
safe
know
guess.
much about TLC. I know he played a little. Nader played a little, but I don't know how strong they are. So I can't really, I haven't really watched them that much, so I can't put them above a guy that I've
Right.
gotten used to a little.
I'm gonna go with Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot.
I like it.
I'm gonna go TLC just because I think
His
he's
name's
a little
hard to
bit.
say?
Well, he's a little bit more proven, and I think they're
That's why.
like. I think now. I'm going to preface this with saying October, November, and bleeding into December. I think it's going to be Ferguson. I think the body of work by the end of the season, you're going to see more of TLC just because there's something about him. Just looking at his numbers, I'm just looking at raw numbers.
Right.
But he's a little bit more polished, and I think they can get a little bit more out of him. And I think he comes with a little bit more of an edge than Ferguson does.
I think I'm right there with you. When they first traded for him, I did not think that. I think I was with you, Jason, where
you said, who the hell?
I thought it was going to be Ferguson, and I was like, I just don't see them coming off of Ferguson. I think that the more I think about it, it makes more sense. I mean, TLC's played the small forward in Philadelphia. That's kind of been his position there. He's played 121 NBA games. That's big. That's big time. And in his rookie season, he shot 40% and 31% from three.
I take back everything I've said.
Not great. But in the second season, he shot 37%, so lower, but a higher percentage from three, which also leads me to believe he was getting to the rim more as a rookie,
Sounds like he's confused.
but he was shooting more threes as a second-year player, which is funny how you can do that in the NBA now. You don't even need to look at where they were shooting from because you're like, well, no one takes mid-range jumpers. What do you mean?
Wait, are you allowed to take mid-range jumpers?
Yeah. So
Floor is lava there.
But he averaged 6.4 points as a rookie and 5.8 as a second-year player. He seems to be more productive offensively than Ferguson, and I think that they like the defensive tools that he possesses.
So what about the idea of bringing in TLC to do that, to use him now, and obviously, hopefully, he develops into something that they can keep around for a while, but also giving Ferguson a little bit more time to develop for them.
Well, what do you mean? Just like
maybe not having to play him heavy minutes while
playing Ferguson?
Like for the Thunder, maybe he can play with the blue a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. And I also, kind of go back to what we were talking about. It's the options, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think but isn't that almost worrisome when you talk about Billy Donovan, because you don't want to give him too many options, because if what happens if Ferguson plays really well one game and then TLC's just been like, okay, and then all of a sudden he's out of the rotation and Ferguson is in, and you're like, well, man, let it sit for a second.
He doesn't do that.
I do wish Donovan, I like that he tinkers, but I wish that he would do it for longer.
Yeah.
I wish he would say, this is what I'm going to try for 8
try
games.
a set for a bit,
Yeah.
and then, okay, well, let's adjust from there.
Right.
I would like to see that as well.
So we're split between, but I think we'd all agree it's either TLC
You guys
or Ferg at 3.
changed my mind.
Oh, ooh, TLC's at 2.
Boom.
Oh, I wasn't high-fiving, but now
Thought
we
you
are.
were.
All right, that's fine. Okay, so who do we have at 3?
It's obviously got to be Ferguson.
Yeah, so it's going to be Ferguson at 3.
Ferguson / Diallo? Because they're the
it's
same
Ferguson.
person?
Yeah, I think it's Ferguson, though.
I think it look, it's Summer League, but I don't think it should go, unspoken that Terrence Ferguson did not have a good Summer League.
No.
That's not a good look. Not saying, you don't want to put too much stock in that, but you're
Very
a guy,
little stock is how much you should.
He comes up to coach and he's like, why am I not playing it? Did you see yourself in Summer League?
You see me sitting on I was at the games.
But as far as, we're talking about, look, Abrinas has proven it a little bit more on the court. TLC's proven it a little bit more on the court, granted with another team. But then you see Ferguson out there against guys that he should be doing a lot better against, and he just didn't really wow you in Summer League. And I once again, don't put too much stock in
Definitely.
it.
Right.
It's definitely something to keep in the back of your head.
And this specific Summer League, like we've talked about a little bit, they were throwing a lot of different stuff at him.
Yeah.
He wasn't
Not
playing.
playing
He wasn't
the
playing his position that he would
Right.
be playing
Yeah.
with the Thunder.
Not
so.
even close
Yeah.
either. And that's why the people that are dogging on Ferguson, it's a little fair, because you would hope that a guy that's supposed to be an NBA player could handle the ball a little bit and make a play and go get a bucket here and there. He couldn't.
Not always the case.
He could not do it. But is he a guy that can sit in the corner and wait for Russell Westbrook to find him when he's wide open and make a shot? He probably is. He probably is that.
What would Andre Robertson look like if he went and played Summer League?
I bet he'd be better than Ferguson
He'd
was.
kill it.
Seriously, I bet he'd get rebounds.
No one would score on him. Like the
Yeah.
entire team. It could just be 5-on-1.
entire
Andre
team.
Robertson just stops it. And somehow the Oklahoma City Thunder with just Andre Robertson
Yeah.
win their Summer League game 59-0.
Well, and the great thing
That's
for
the
Robertson,
score.
too, and this is in Summer League, you get 10 fouls.
That's true.
So he,
killing him.
if he needs to, he just fouls. He just foul a bunch. Okay, so number 4. So now we're between Diallo and Nader. Where are you going to slot these guys?
Still don't know anything about Nader,
Diallo.
so I'm
Really?
going Diallo.
See, I think I go Nader here.
I go with Diallo just because of the way the contracts play out. Because it's 3 non-guaranteed years and because you have Diallo locked up a little bit longer and it is guaranteed money, I think you put the stock in there, put him on the court, see what he can do. You've got Nader as kind of this backup. He's almost like a safety net to the safety net.
Right.
Is what Nader is. So I don't think he gets a whole lot of playing time. I think that more goes to Diallo.
I think that exact reason is why I picked Nader. So the reason that he is non-guaranteed, so you want to see what you can get out of him.
Fair.
So, and I think that Diallo is going to be a little similar to how they treated Dakari Johnson last year, because it's the exact same contract Dakari Johnson got, except it comes with a team option. Non-guaranteed, basically a team option the next year for a third year. So I think that you're going to see Diallo a lot in the D League. They're going to try to develop this guy. He's going to play a lot in the D League. He is not polished. He is so raw. You put him out there in a real NBA game, and those flaws are going to show themselves, right? But Nader's a guy that played for the Celtics last year.
You've already talked me out of it.
A really
You're good at changing our minds.
a really, really good Celtics team last year, and he got minutes. So that's where I think that's where probably Pressey likes him, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
He's a project of Brad Stevens. So, yeah, Pressey's got to like him, right?
have to.
Gotta.
Brad's the guy. You want to play a game?
Yeah.
Do you have it ready?
No.
Okay,
Let's play a game.
let's do it. And
Yeah.
Who's that guy? Who's that guy? Who's that guy?
It's our most versatile game.
It's the
Who's
best
that
game
guy?
ever.
There's-
With the best sounder ever.
There's no rules. Yeah, that's it. That's the whole
That's the
description
game.
of the game. Okay, so I think this version is going to be more of a fill in the blank. I'll start. How about that? I know you got a couple over there, Justin. So I'll start. And this one's going to be tough. I'm hitting you guys hard right out the gate. I'm sorry. The most frequent closing 5 lineup for OKC next season will be, and this is a who's that guys.
Yeah.
Who are those guys?
Who's that guys?
Yeah.
Who's them guys?
Who's them guys?
So the most frequent closing 5 lineup for OKC next season will be
Russell Westbrook,
Yes.
Paul George,
Yes.
yeah.
Insert 3 other names here.
Got to be Adams,
et
right?
cetera.
Got to be
Adams.
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 I'm gonna throw Grant in there because he's real good.
And if you're watching on YouTube, tell us what you think.
yeah,
Curious what you think.
put the things in there.
You think
Do I got
Grant's
one
in
more
there?
guy left?
Abrinas.
Grant and Abrina? So not.
I was
so,
gonna
so
go
no
Schroder.
Dre. I mean, that's fair.
Schroder Dre. The Schroder Dre thing.
That's the tough part for me. Is like, is it gonna be Schroeder? Or is it gonna be Dre?
It might as well just be Dre. I mean, it depends on if you put enough stock in this team to be up in closing lineups, like in closing games out, then it's got to be Dre. Especially the last 2 minutes, you can put Dre back in there because the foul situation in the NBA now.
Yep.
But if this team consistently finds themselves down and in need of scoring in those games, it has to be Abrina. So I think the reason why it's so hard to answer that question is because it should be fairly 50-50. Well, hopefully it's not 50-50, but there's a way to look at it where it's 50. If you need offense, it's Abrinas. If you need defense, it's Dre.
It's a really hard question. I told you guys.
very hard.
But I think they love Dre, man. They
and
love
they
Dre.
should.
Well, I thought we were talking about when he wasn't healthy yet. Like, at the
What if
very
it would
first
be?
game.
What if it turns out to be something like Russ, Schroeder, Dre, Paul George, and Adams? That's interesting, huh?
It's pretty insane.
That'd be hard to guard
Or instead of Adams, you just have Grant, and it's just
because you have scoring with Russ, Schroeder, Paul George, and even a little Adams. You have rebounding with Adams, Dre, and Russ. You have playmaking with Rush and Schroeder, and you have defense with Paul George, Adams, and Dre. Like, man, you really cover a lot of. Obviously, it depends on what the other team's throwing out there. So, like, say you're playing Denver,
right. And that's
and Denver's closing with Jokic and Paul
Millsap.
Millsap, and you have Paul George probably guarding Millsap, or maybe because you probably don't want to put Dre on there. You want him on a guard. So it'll be interesting. I'm really excited to see what Billy does. His hands are. I mean, he has a lot of most play.
Or like
Who's that guy?
Utah, you definitely don't want to do it. That's another team.
Yeah, with favors.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
get killed on the boards.
Yeah.
Yep.
None of that again.
True. Next, you got one?
Yeah, I'll throw one in there.
Throw it in there.
Biggest increase from last season in 3-point percentage. Who's that guy?
Play it. Play the one
the
thing.
thing.
Just the one.
Just the one thing.
Who's that guy?
There you go. That's how we know when we're allowed to answer.
Oh,
Ooh, you got anything for this? Biggest increase in 3-point percentage. So does this have to be someone that came back from the Thunder last season? Or?
No. Just your increase from so for Dennis Schroeder, it would be 29% from last year to that would be if it was 29 to 36, that would be a 7% increase.
That's one that seems likely. Mm-hmm. Kyle Singler shot 40% last year.
he's not on the team, bro.
What if he shoots one and makes it? That's a 60% increase.
I'm gonna. I don't know.
Okay, how about this? Minimum 25 attempts.
Okay, that's fair.
I can't pull up stats
No
to see what
Steven
they
Adams
did last
hitting
year.
one.
What was Pat at last year? I want
He was high. He was a career high, 38.6.
to. Never mind. Just kidding.
I'm gonna go Russ.
I was gonna say that.
29.8 last year, and I think the year before he was around 34 something. I hope he gets it up. I mean, God, if he could get there's my weird innuendo. I hope he gets it up for the episode. I think he was around 34% the year prior, was he not? And that was a year where he was just chucking too. So, God, if he can get some more spot up opportunities with Schroeder handling the ball and with Paul George looking for him a little more often and having the opportunity to look for him a little more often, hopefully it'd be not. We talked about it last year. If he could get to 35%, man, this team would be
sweet.
unstoppable. But I don't know if that's realistic. But if he can jump to 33, that's a pretty big jump.
Low hanging fruit, but and also very much wishful thinking.
Grant.
That's what I was about to say.
I'm actually going to take Andre Robertson.
Oh.
He's been working on it, so I'm just gonna hope here. And I mean, all he has to do is be better than 22%.
I mean, that does make it a little easier, but
Here's what
But
I'll
also,
say.
it's the biggest jump.
Right.
So it's
the
got to be the
biggest jump.
biggest percentage jump.
But Andre Robertson played 39 games last year, and he shot 36 threes. I'll be surprised if he exceeds 36 threes this year.
yeah.
I don't know. I almost think that they're giving up on him shooting the ball.
I think spacing dictates.
I think they should.
I think you almost have to sometimes.
Yeah. No, you're
I
right.
think he's gonna, and I think he's. I want to see Spurs, Western Conference semis, 3-point shooting. Andre Robertson.
Oh my gosh, where it's just money.
It was a highlight video,
Everybody
but
was
in
like,
real
"What
life.
Wasn't he money against Houston in the first round 2 years ago too? He was knocking them down then too. It was like, what is happening? Do this during the year. All right, next. Did you give your answer?
I was gonna say Grant.
You waffling again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Waffled all over the place, but I just went with Grant.
He
'cause-
waffled until he could think of a name, even though he did say it earlier.
All right, this kind of goes along with what we were saying. Actually, I'll skip it because we already did it. It is about the wings.
Moving
again.
on.
Not counting Singler or Nader, who is the Thunder player most likely to be traded this upcoming season?
Who's that guy?
So tough. This is tough.
Oh man.
We need a music bed. You got
We
something?
do.
That's a no. I sure don't.
I'm using the Twitter one.
I'm gonna go with my gut feeling without much of an explanation, other than it just kind of makes sense in a way. Patrick Patterson.
Oh.
I think he's a guy that you can get the most value out of. That maybe they find something that can kind of replace Patrick Patterson in some way, shape, or form. Not sure what that is. Not sure how that comes to fruition. I don't know. That's kind of my gut feeling.
That's interesting. I don't know about Pat because he's in the last year of his deal, and I'm wondering if it makes sense to trade him.
Doesn't he have?
You know, if I had to pick a name, I'm probably going Ferguson because I think he brings value. And if you're stockpiling all these wings,
Well, you have an exact replica of him almost in Diallo.
kinda,
Pretty
yeah,
close.
kinda.
So, depending on
And the
like,
thing
how-
is Diallo's probably going to be a better ball handler and playmaker and be able to get to the rim himself better
he just
than
seems
Ferguson
a little
can.
more aggressive.
Yep. Because he's more confident on the offensive end than Ferguson is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard though with this roster, right? Because it seems like Presti's compiled a roster of guys that he really likes.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem like
that's kind of the thing is he's actually this offseason, I feel like is the first time he's really been able to go in and craft a thing rather
Right.
than just like, oh God, I got to get someone big in here and hopefully these guys don't leave me. And he did it. So.
yeah. I'm just excited that that there's a team in place for years to come. You got another one?
I'll be honest. My other two are kind of things that we've already talked about at
Okay.
this point.
Last one then. How about this?
I like it.
This is another tough one, guys. The biggest swing player on the roster, meaning the role player that can help or hurt this team the most. You know, the biggest ceiling, lowest floor guy that can really just shape this team. Who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
I'm gonna go with the Braunschweiger.
Ooh.
Dennis Schroder.
That's probably a good
The
answer.
X factor that we talked about.
Because it's that backup point guard role. I kind of just I feel like it's him.
There's probably a couple candidates here, right? But that's a good one. I think your candidates are going to be Schroeder, Abrinas, Grant, Noel even.
Yeah.
God, that's a guy that we really
Russ.
haven't talked a lot about because I don't think we know what to expect.
Yeah. Because he hasn't played in like a year.
Who would your guy
As
be?
a Grant.
Grant?
Yeah.
I think he was our guy on this exact same question
Yeah.
last year.
But I think he's like, when he plays really well,
Yep.
his team is really hard to beat.
That's true. Got another scorer out there on the court that's just relentless. Do some questions.
Let's.
Who's that guy?
Well,
Wrong button. He's frazzled.
Social media inquiries.
He's frazzled. We had a rough
It's been rough
night
today,
before
man.
This. Yeah. I mean, this isn't going to be our best night, but it is what it is.
happens.
It does happen. We're having like
Having
an
a
eight-
low scoring night.
Yeah, we're having like a 6 for 24 shooting night. It's just not going well.
By the way, I'm going to have to read this and then go over there and then come back. So hopefully you guys can riff on this for a while.
Okay.
I am confused.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
I've
That
got
sounds
to
good.
pee.
Oh,
That's all it is.
that'll do it.
I can also just do that.
So from...
This is the one you're giving us to.
Yeah, I'm starting off with this one.
to riff.
Mostly because I want to hear you guys talk about the Warriors for a while. From Jiden at Jiden Galvin, Nick Young or Jamal Crawford? It would suck seeing Nick Young getting a ring with the Warriors when we play them, though.
I'm guessing that he means for the Thunder.
I thought that's what he meant.
I would assume that that's what he meant. So let's approach it that way.
So if we brought in Nick Young,
or Jamal Crawford for the Thunder, what you got?
I guess I don't really want either of them per se, but I guess Jamal Crawford just because I feel like basketball-wise, Nick Young would be nice, but
I go Nick Young.
Jamal Crawford just because he's not a dipshit.
Is Nick Young actually a dipshit?
I don't know.
Or is that just like a
His
reputation?
persona that he's built.
I mean, he had the whole...
I used to play with him on 2K all the time. And he was amazing.
He was a cheat code, like, as a role player.
Draining
for
threes.
Sure. Yeah, I kind of think... I don't know. I think Jamal Crawford likes the ball in his hands a little too much. And this has been someone... I've been wanting the Thunder to bring in a veteran guy at the wing, someone that they can actually rely on. I've been out there talking about Pat Connaughton. He's not a veteran, but he's someone that actually he was a reliable guy on the Blazers bench last year. And Sean Kilpatrick, who hasn't been able to stick on the team, but he's been okay. He's been productive.
Right.
It doesn't seem like that's the direction they're headed at all.
The whole Jamal Crawford plus Schroder bench thing seems like that wouldn't work out very well.
No. Too many people that have to have the ball in their hand. And that's the weird thing about Crawford, too, is he'll have the ball in his hands
For so long.
for like 20 seconds, then he'll jack up a shot and brick it. And you're like, what was that?
What was your plan going into that?
What was that? Is this going to work if I do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Next one. At Drinking Tea. Yeah, I'm doing the reading. I've never done this
Nice.
before. Do you genuinely think Dre has been working on his shooting during his timeout? I feel like his free throws will never be good because it's a mental thing for him rather than a shooting motion issue.
I think he's hopefully been working on it. I agree
gotta
with
be.
him that it is some sort of mental thing because you've heard about him in practice, just draining free throws and draining shots. But you've mentioned several times how his shot looks really broken.
Yeah.
So
it's both.
that's a pretty
It's
fundamental
both
problem.
mental, and the problem is that it's not only just mental, it's also physical. And so how do you get over that?
I don't think that's a thing you can fix.
I don't think so either. He's always going to be bad.
Yeah.
He's always
just do
gonna
the
be
things
bad
you're
at
good
it.
at and stop worrying about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shoot free throws
Although-
backwards. Maybe you
although-
should do it backwards.
What if he came in, shot 75%? It's laughable to even think that he will do that. But if it happened, imagine how much... That's one of those things that...
Championship right there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that seems small, but it would actually just elevate this team to a new level if he could shoot free throws. Because then he wouldn't be scared to take the ball to the basket.
Yeah. And he's pretty okay at that.
And,
not terrible.
I mean, who are you going to hack at that point to slow the game down?
Steven Adams.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
not gonna-
Steven Adams. That's my main... I'm more mad at Steven Adams for his free throws than I am Robertson.
he was so good and then so not good.
Last 2 years he's done that. He started out good and then he
Darko
just kind of...
stopped punching him in the stomach.
He needs to just shoot his little floater shot
Yeah.
from the line.
From Michael Cage headphone scan at the Brody 2020.
Still
Do
so good.
you think Presti will try and acquire a solid, and proven rotation wing, even at the expense of Abrinas or Ferg?
This kind of goes along the lines, but at the expense of the question 2 questions ago, but at the expense of Abrinas or Ferg, the opportunity presents itself, you bet your ass he will.
Yep.
He absolutely will, I think.
Well, I think there you go. Like back to what we were talking about with all the stockpiling. Now, if you lose Ferguson, it's not like, oh God,
Right.
What do we have in on deck?
Because the biggest thing with Ferguson is his youth, right? Is
Right.
his...
And they have several guys that have that and potential. That was like the big thing with him. It's like, oh well, maybe he'll turn into something. But if you lose him now, and it's not so bad.
I agree. That's the point.
From the big Kiwi at Steven Adams Son 1. Assuming Robertson isn't ready for the start of the season, who should start at the 2?
Abrinas. That's my pick. I think if you're gonna start someone, to me, you don't try to replace Robertson because there's no replacing Robertson. He's so good defensively. He's a top 5 defender in the entire league, in my opinion. So you do something, you start someone that's going to bring something, another aspect to your offense or to your team or to your defense. Probably your offense, though, because Robertson's so good on defense, you're not going to bring another aspect that Robertson doesn't bring. So put in Abrinas. He's a guy that's going to stretch the floor. Robertson does not do that. He's a guy who's going to have the ability to knock down shots. Abrinas.
I think you forget about all these guys. Sign old Corey Brewer again. Bring him up. I'm not really sure if I believe that, but it was.
I'm actually surprised that he's not been back with the Thunder.
No, I'm with you, Jason. I think it's got to be Corey Brewer. It worked last year.
Goddamn genius.
So who are you cutting? You cutting Nader?
Oh, I'm saying you had the wave Singler, so.
Oh yeah, Singler.
He's not on the team.
So you guys like the idea of having 15 going into the season because that straps you a little bit.
But I'm just saying, if they needed somebody to...
You want Sam making the decisions.
Yeah.
I'm not making
my damn job.
I mean, come on.
Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Everyone talk all at once. If you're gonna have 15, it's to start the season and kind of hamstring you as far as moves you can make. You're doing that because Dre was hurt, so you kind of I think you kind of bite the bullet because of that.
Fair enough.
Did you want to say anything else?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, you acted like you did.
I did, and then I changed my mind.
I cut you off on accident, and now I feel bad. From Drew _ at Drew _ 611.
Oh my God!
I think it's
four underscores.
No, I think it's 2 underscores. It might just be one, but it's a really big underscore.
Long underscore.
Yeah. How deep is our bench now? That's a period. Sorry, Drew. Our bench was bottom 10 last year. How good can it be this year? Can any one of these wings contribute?
To me, it's the biggest improvement on the team.
Yeah.
The bench on paper looks really, really good.
And the fact that we didn't lose PG was pretty big.
Like, for the sake of this podcast, Schroder, Abrinas, TLC, Grant, who I think we all think Pat's starting just because of the fit. So let's say Grant's on the bench and Noel. The athleticism is off the charts. The speed is off the charts. The defensive capability is off the charts.
It's going to be so much better.
And you have a shooter in Abrinas, a guy that is capable of knocking down shots in TLC, and Schroder who can get to the rim. Man, this has the potential to be a really good bench, but we've said this before about this team. And
we have, but we actually have players that are on the team now that have played and done well. Like, that's a big difference. In the past, we were like, well, these guys seem like they could do some things.
Right.
But now, like, one thing about Schroder is I think he's pretty decent in the pick and roll, and so is Noel. So that should be pretty fun. Like, they've actually got something they can do on the bench.
And Grant. You have your options. You can send multiple guys to come pick for Schroder.
Yeah. Run that Horns.
Oh my goodness.
You know?
We
Just
have
dunks everywhere. Arms.
We have young guys that have played a little bit rather than just having old guys that have played a little bit or having young guys that have just never, ever played. They came straight from the G League and they're on the bench. Like, it's kind of a new thing. It's new territory.
Guys that are energetic and have a sense of urgency to prove themselves in the league.
Right.
There's some value there, right?
While getting Russ rest. It's hard to say.
That is hard to say.
But
I'm not even going to try to.
You brought that up in a tweet, I think, the other, like, whenever we signed Schroder.
I bet I did.
And that's like overlooked huge thing.
Yeah.
We can let Russ sit down and trust.
Russ, but letting Russ sit down and actually Russ sitting down are two different things.
You got to chain him to the chair, but
you have
he'll
to
drag that sumbitch right
Velcro
over the court too.
on his ass. Put the other side of the Velcro on the chair. Stuck there, bud.
This is a dude that played an entire half of basketball with a torn meniscus
and a dented in face.
And played well.
On
that
did a real good job.
Oh God, I love him.
Okay, we got a little bit of a two-parter here, so bear with us here.
Part 1 of 2.
From Johnny Callahan at JohnnyBoy19.
Well done.
Boogie is going to mess up the Warriors' chemistry, and Melo is going to mess up the Rockets' chemistry.
I like it.
And we're going to beat them both and win the championship. Am I right or am I right?
Woo! Hey, I like the enthusiasm. Guys, you know what? I might save it. I'm going to save it for next week's podcast.
Save it. Don't forget it, though.
Ooh, what a tease, huh?
Yeah.
Everyone here's like, God, I'm going to have to tune
I'm
in
really
next
into that, though. I like the fact that Melo's going to ruin the Rockets because that's probably going to happen.
It is interesting, right? Like, what makes the Rockets think that he's going to fit in there when he didn't fit in here?
Did you not see that game like that where they were all working out, playing pickup?
Oh, yeah.
And he was on their team, and it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
That was it.
No one's playing defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one.
It is so strange. I'm very interested to see
I feel like it's going to end up working and it's going to piss me off.
It's going to be so annoying if that works.
But it's probably not going to work.
Things have got to turn,
I
though.
just keep going.
Like, too many things have gone against Russ with the narrative of Russell Westbrook makes his teammates worse, and they just get better when they lose. Too many things. Like, it's got to even out at some point, and I think it's going to even out with
this. Could be the one, and they are going to be worse because they lost those other guys. Like, they lost Ariza and
Mbamute, yeah.
That's going to hurt.
Yeah.
So more of a real one, which let's find our spots on the parade route right now while we can for summer 2019. So from Johnny Callahan again, the second part: is it weird that I'm actually feeling really confident about this season, or at least for our chances of making the Western Conference Finals?
So we're in this weird situation where last year we all got real hyped, we got real excited. It sucked.
Yes.
Didn't go like we thought it would,
Right.
and so now we got hyped again. We're real excited again. But I'm a little timid to be that excited because of my hurt heart from last year.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it anyways. Regardless. I'm saying, fuck it. Let's be excited. Why not?
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Man, I don't know. The thing I was going to say for next week is that I'm reluctant to go there. Like, I don't think the Thunder are going to be bad, obviously, but I'm just reluctant to say that they're going to be a bunch better. I don't know that they are. I need to see it. I need to see it before I believe it, because I didn't see it.
You're shielding your heart after that heartbreak.
Maybe I am. Maybe
closing
I'm
yourself off.
I don't know.
I don't blame you.
I don't know what the diagnosis is here, but I need to see it. I need to see that. They need to prove it to me before I'll actually believe it.
Yeah, but that's not believing it. That's knowing it.
That's true. There's a difference between faith
Yeah.
and facts.
Well, then I won't believe it until I know it. How about that?
From Always and Forever Art at Always and Forever Art. We'll always love reading his just because it's the same thing and it's just so repetitive.
Easy.
Do you think Russell will be more willing and show great signs of being good off ball, being a good off ball player with Schroder playing on the ball at times? I know old habits die hard, but he hasn't had a Schroder since Reggie Jackson.
Hey.
Or
Is it a Schroder pun?
Yes, it is. Or is it just something Russ doesn't have?
So he's asking if Russ can play off the ball and if it's going to maximize Schroder. I don't think it's something that Russ doesn't have.
Yeah.
We've seen it. But is it something that he's buried so deep that he can't find it again?
Kind of like your faith in the Thunder being good without having seen it.
Right. Kind of like that. I don't know. I mean, that's what we're gonna have to see. What do you think? Do you think he's going to?
I think he's capable, like you said. I think he's capable of it. I don't necessarily think it's what we talked about earlier. Like, it's not going to be a system where it's like, oh, cool, now Russ is going to come out and play the 2 with
But
Schroder.
it doesn't have to be
That's
a
not what it's
system
supposed
like
to be.
that. It just has to be a system where you create the action yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be coach saying, hey, run over there, and that's what you do. It just,
Just don't stand there.
Yeah, you see.
Like, if he just moves around a little, that's going to create space and movement, and that's
Right.
all that we need. And if he does that, which I think he's very capable of, I think it's going to work really well.
I think it's a thing to where Russ might look at, well, who is it getting him the ball? Mm-hmm. Does he trust them to even get him the ball?
Yeah.
You know, maybe
'Cause,
last
like,
year he looks at the team and he's like, well, I'm not gonna. It's not like they're gonna.
It's not gonna
pass
come
it
back to me.
Yeah, they're not gonna find me. I mean, so maybe that's it. I don't know. Maybe that's also giving him too much credit. We're gonna find out. That's one of the biggest.
Damn right we will.
You know, we're gonna have. I think we're gonna do like our 10 booming questions again for our season preview. That might be one of them because that's a huge question mark going into the season.
Agreed.
And at some point, we're doing Jeopardy.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that's gonna be
At
fun.
some point. From
We got 3 months of dead time.
yeah, I
coming
know,
up,
I
man.
know. From Ron at @ayunt_15. In light of recent events in San Francisco, are you hashtag Team Straw or hashtag Team No Straw?
I'm hashtag. I don't know what the hell he's
Yeah,
talking
what is
about.
he talking about?
I knew you'd know.
If
We
I, well,
we
no,
talked about it
once
before.
again, I'm guessing here.
Oh.
But there's been a big movement, especially on the West Coast, that very liberal, open-minded states that are going to doing no straws or having like only paper straws because it's really, really terrible for like the ocean and environment and like.
So is
like
this like
sea
this-
turtles eat straws and then die?
Is this
Yeah.
like that Starbucks thing where they were like, "Hey, no more plastic straws.
Yeah.
Here are these lids made
Number
of plastic."
One, I'm team no straw / paper straw. Paper straws are kind of good to drink out of. I kind of like them.
Never
actually.
had a paper
They're
straw.
weird.
They are weird, but I kind of like them. It's just different, but I'm just kind of a
You're
person.
a different
yeah,
fella.
I'm a different fella. So yeah, if they're going up sea turtles' nostrils, I'm team no straw.
So if they're going up nostrils, that makes the plastic lids from Starbucks make more sense then.
Yeah, because those will only work as helmets for
Or pry their mouths open, which would suck.
the. Yeah, but they'll get a lot of food just funneling in.
Next.
I was gonna say something. I was
Pete is
like,
gonna
I
attack
just don't know.
Got nothing, huh?
From 777 emoji at _ Erquan. PG
Oh.
at the 4 question mark.
Yeah, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it. And then a couple of years ago, PG was vocal about I don't want to play the 4.
Didn't
But
want to
now,
do it.
But now, man, it's positionless basketball. It's not necessarily PG. You're at the 4.
Yeah.
Plus, you have other guys that you might put PG on the court with, where PG's technically the 4 out there in the lineup, but he might not be guarding the 4.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're gonna see it. You're gonna see it.
Agreed.
Let's hit these notes real quick.
Let's hit these notes.
That's him stalling, by the way.
It is me stalling. Notes!
By the way, guys, I'm impressed that we were just able to stick out an hour of this when it wasn't the plan, and we did it. You know, I had to pee most of the time.
Real quick,
I couldn't hold it anymore.
Okay.
Bryson Taylor says if Melo has a really good season in Houston, what does that say about OKC, or does it say anything at all?
I don't know.
We suck.
It'll be tough to say. You know, he did join right before the season started, but you would assume that he would get acclimated as the season progressed. It's the way Melo went out, right?
Yeah.
Like he had moments where like things looked good, but it's the way he went
And
out.
also, nobody would have been that upset with him had he not been such an ass.
Yeah, but if he does have like a really good season, I don't know, man. It's
gonna be a bummer.
It's also will depend on what kind of season the Thunder have, right? So if he has a really good season, the Thunder are again disappointing, like I said, then we have some issues, I think. But
Bye, Bill.
But if he has a good season, the Thunder also have a good season. Who cares? Who cares?
Agreed.
Former Thunder first-round pick Mitch McGary is now an aspiring bowler. And by the way, there was a tweet that we
Mitch
retweeted,
McGary.
and it said he's a professional bowler. I did some research on my own. I don't think that's accurate. He does not get paid. He's like an average 200 bowler. That's not good enough to be a professional bowler.
Sounds insane
No,
to me.
it's a good bowler, but he's not good enough to be a professional.
What do you got to do to be that?
He's a
better.
competitive bowler, but not
Right.
a professional bowler.
He
There
might
it
be
is.
hustling guys. It's
Yeah.
amazing that he got cut and was like, "Nah, I'm good with basketball now."
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I
Didn't
need.
seem like he really liked it that much, which happens. You know, there's,
He liked weed more.
yeah.
That's what he's doing. He's hustling. Like, hey, by the way, bet I can bowl a 250. I bet you a blunt and a pitcher of beer I can bowl a 250.
He's just that guy.
He's adopted the country accent from his time here too. KD called OKC home in his guest appearance on CJ McCollum's podcast. How does that make you guys feel? One word. How does it make you feel?
Snake.
Ooh, good word.
I don't know if that's an adjective.
It's not. It's a noun.
Snaky.
Snaky.
Instantly said, that's not.
What do you make of this perceived feud between the two? It's so blown out of proportion,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, CJ put out another tweet that was like, "There's not really a feud." We were
right,
just
but
saying
of
things.
course, like these
Of course, you'd say that, but
accounts need content.
Yeah.
Sports Center needs content. It's middle of July. Yeah.
I liked that CJ went at
Me
him a
too.
little bit, though.
Me too.
That was
Oh
nice.
my God, we got to trade for him.
He's an idiot. Kevin Durant. He's an idiot.
Oh, Daniel Hamilton has signed a 1-year guaranteed contract with the Atlanta Hawks. He is officially Dennis Schroeder's replacement.
They fucked up.
Good for Danny. It's a guaranteed contract. I'm glad he's getting his money. I thought there was a chance he was going to be with the Thunder this year, and hey, he landed with the team, so that's cool. Carmelo Anthony states that him and OKC just wasn't a good fit, quote unquote. He went on to say more.
Such as,
I don't have it. Yeah.
do you have it?
You do?
Said at the end of the day, it wasn't a good fit. Said, I think last year, and I haven't talked about this before, everything was just so rushed going to the team for media day and the day before training camp. Them guys already had something in place, and then I came along in the 25th hour like, oh shit! And Melo just had to come on and join us, like you can figure it out since you've been around the game for a long time, blah, 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 blah. My point on that, and the reason I wanted to bring it up, was it was kind of his fault that he came in the 25th hour, and now he's using that as the reason that it didn't work out. And it's like, hey, we were trying to get you before.
Yeah.
Like you could have just waived your no trade clause and just come on over.
Which before this podcast, Justin, which is a great point, by the way, Jason, because before this podcast, Justin, you brought up this day last year, we did a podcast with Mark Rogers, the sports animal. And on that podcast, we talked a lot about what if the Thunder traded for Carmelo Anthony?
Right.
I think it was like right after Bill Simmons had tweeted something like Thunder and Carmelo Anthony are
Oh,
officially
they're circling?
each other. And it didn't happen for a couple months.
It was a while.
So you might, you're onto something here.
Yeah.
If he'd have just waived that no trade clause in the beginning, maybe
It might have worked.
Maybe
And
he'd have had training
Shit,
camp.
he might still be here.
Yeah.
We might
And-
be talking about Carmelo Anthony on this team still.
And
Right.
that might go to Bryson's question about if he has a good season in Houston. It might be because he ends up being there with training camp.
I feel bad saying it, but I hope he doesn't have a good
I
season.
really, he's a great guy, though. You
No,
know,
such
he
a
is a
good
really,
guy.
really good person.
Enes
so.
Kanter went all over Fox Sports TV and radio shows defending Russell Westbrook, including on noted Russell Westbrook hater Colin Cowherd's show. Cowherd's, I don't know why I had that C in there. The Herd.
Well, because he's a terrible person.
So that's cool of Enes. And man, Enes is an
He's
awesome dude.
the best.
He's just an awesome dude.
Love him.
I do have something I want to throw in here real quick.
Throw it
notes.
in.
Ooh.
So about 10 years ago,
Oh,
the
no.
Seattle Supersonics were having
Uh-oh.
some troubles with Key Arena trying to get a bunch of renovations using public funding from the city of Seattle. I can't remember what the dollar amount was, but it was a lot of money.
I like this story. Do tell more.
So anyways, what happened? They get bought out by an Oklahoma City businessman, and he moves that team to Oklahoma City pending the approval of the NBA. It happens. They're now the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I like that.
Fast forward to 2018, the Seattle Mariners are in contract negotiations with Safeco Field. They're requesting $180 million in renovations,
Should have stayed in the kingdom.
or they will not renew at Safeco Field. So an Oklahoma City businessman needs to go in, buy the Seattle Mariners, and next year this time the Seattle Mariners will no longer be. It will be the Oklahoma City 89ers, and we'll have a professional baseball team. It's not gonna. No, I mean it's literally not gonna happen.
Yeah, it
but
won't
it's
happen.
funny to think about.
It is funny. It would also haven't we heard them enough? Haven't we heard
Yeah.
those people enough? It rains every day there. We gotta be easy
Maybe
on them.
Something happy to happen.
Yeah,
I was
I
there for
actually
like
really
4
want them to get a
days.
team again.
Me too.
Because I'm tired of hearing.
And I want to beat them.
Oh yeah.
I want to go into their place and boo us
But
and beat them.
I want to give them all their records back.
Yeah.
And then us move to the east,
Something like
where
that.
it's easier.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I agree with that, by the way. Subscribe to us on YouTube. You can watch all these podcast player interviews. The latest day tripping episode. I'm losing my mind. At Sisters and Scotch. Speaking of Sisters and Scotch, we will be there tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
If you are in the Oklahoma City area,
And you're listening today.
It's tomorrow. Friday, yeah. Friday the 27th, July 27th, from 4 to 7 p.m. Tallgrass Brewing Company, I believe is the name, from Manhattan,
Oh my
Kansas.
God,
They're going to be
incredible.
So good.
I love tall grass.
This guy would know. I mean, he is a beer connoisseur. They're going to have some of their best beers. I think they're showcasing their sours.
Yeah, they're doing half pipe, the key lime sour.
Already knows all about it.
There's 2 more. I can't remember. The half pipe's incredible. The key lime's really good. All of them are really good. They make really good beer.
So come meet us there. We can talk some Thunder basketball. You guys can just... I want to hang out with you guys.
Give you a high five or something?
Yeah, I want to meet you guys. So come see us. Find us on iTunes. Rate us 5 stars.
Yeah.
Does us a lot of favors. SoundCloud, Spotify, all those other places. Google Play. Anywhere that has podcasts. We are there. We'll be back next week with another one.
Yeah.
And hopefully no TDs on this one, huh?
Agreed.
Till next time. And as always, Thunder up.
We don't want to score any